Have you ever wanted to do a webcomic or a fan comic, but you were worried about starting? You were worried that you would make lots of dumb mistakes and do lots of terrible things that you would regret forever. Well, I've been doing that since 2015. I've been making a webcomic, a fan comic, specifically this one, TRIFORCE of Power, this fan comic for the Legend of Zelda games, and I've been making lots of mistakes, and I love this comic. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about here. So this is going to be a walkthrough of the comic, talking about how I have failed and what I have done right, but also what you can learn from it to not just don't make my mistakes. Just don't do it, okay? But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to walk through each page, and then I will talk about things that did or did not work, why they did or did not work, why those mistakes happened, and so on. So let's get started. But yeah, we're reading on webtoons because it's super easy to read this way. So, Chapter 1, Leaving the Desert. How in Din's name do you fit all this in that little pack? Magic. That's not a valid answer. Alright, so first off, you do not have to have chapter page covers like this. They're cool, but to be honest, I think most comics these days actually don't have them. I think a lot of people skip them. I mean, I like them, but I think a lot of readers honestly don't really care, so that's up to you. Also, it depends on the genre. Some genres might have, like, everybody expects these, so you should have them. Or for some genres, they might never have them, so whenever people include them, might be like, wow, that's weird. Why did you include that? So yeah, be familiar with your genre of the comic you are writing, creating, and do what you think will fit best, and go with that. And I did these chapter cover pages for like a few chapters. I think I only included a couple in the webtoons version. I think you can see them all on Tumblr. That might be the only place that you can see them all. And yeah, then I just kind of forgot to do them. It was not an intentional choice to stop doing them. I just kind of forgot. So there you go. So I still like this page. I think it's really cute. I think it helps set the tone for the comic. So I think it's functionally one that works well. I love that there's a little chick that was in Link's pack. That really raises a lot of questions. Like, is it okay? I think it was okay, but I hope it's not still in there. But anyway. Alright. Here in Gerudo Desert, Ganondorf lives alone. His only company are lost travelers. If the traveler is a woman, he leads her out of the desert. A hermit? To feel. If the traveler is a man, his belongings and person vanish in the desert night. Here in the desert, Ganondorf has found a peaceful rhythm to his life. I am so bored. A very peaceful rhythm. So, on this page, I think that this page, again, works pretty well to help set the tone of the comic. Setting the tone of your comic in the first, chapter, especially the first few pages or so, is really important because you want to give people an accurate idea of what to expect. And, of course, your tone of the comic, it can change over time. That's perfectly fine. I think it's like growing the beard as a trope, a way to express it, that it becomes more serious or whatever over time. That is pretty normal. I think it happens with a lot of stories, but you can't have your comic start off with this, and then immediately jump to some sort of hard-boiled detective thing. It just wouldn't make any sense. This is obviously set up like a gag, for coma specifically, strip. I think it's called for coma. So anyways, this was done in pen, and then I scanned it, because of health issues I had at the time, and, mixed feelings. I mean, there are things that I like about the old art, things that are not that great, so yeah, but I still did it. So if you're worried about being a perfectionist, that's the wrong way to put it. If you're worried about being angry at your work because it's not perfect, that is normal. There is no way that your work, your first pages of especially, there's no way you're going to be completely proud of them. Like, for example, I did these little squiggly lines to represent the wind, I guess based on Okami. That was a mistake because I don't do that in most of the rest of the comic. That was because I didn't know what style I was doing. I don't think it looks terrible, but it's not great. So, yeah, you're just gonna have some things that look weird. And if you're not doing pen and ink stuff like I am, you can go back and edit, you know? Like, this would be a quick edit to go back and just erase these little squiggly things. I'm not gonna do it, but you could. There's a trap with editing. But, you know, that's up to you. That's up to you, the individual artist. But basically, I think that most people who are reading this aren't going to be like, wow, those squiggly lines look so freaking weird. I'm not going to read anymore. No, they're going to be like, wow, this is a weird way to start a Zelda comic. It's kind of weird and goofy and different. And this was a silly cover page. Wow, where is this going to go? You know, they're not going to be like, oh, those squiggly lines are bad. I hate this comic forever. Yeah, you know? So it's like, focus. The details aren't as important to all the readers as like they are to the artist. It's like, just roll with it. It's fine. I promise it will be fine. Like, for example, this field is so freaking ugly. It looks like a person's bald head with some short hairs on it. It's so gross. I hate it so much. But most of the readers probably aren't going to even notice it. They might be like, wow, that's an ugly field. But that's it. They're going to keep reading if they like the other stuff. There's a lot of other stuff here. So like, don't worry about the details. It's fine. Let's keep moving. One morning, he comes across an unconscious traveler. Fish. If I don't find out why on earth he wrote that, I'll be wondering about it for weeks. So I need to apologize in advance if I giggle or if I laugh while I'm reading it. I still find a lot of these pages funny. It's just a spontaneous reaction that's going to happen. So anyways, Link is so freaking big here. I did not figure out the style or the size for the comic. Like, I didn't figure out, oh, how big should Link be? How am I going to draw when? How am I going to draw backgrounds? I didn't figure that stuff out. So there's a lot of inconsistencies. So you can avoid these kind of inconsistencies if you experiment with stuff like, oh, what style do I want for the wind? What height? Make a height chart for the characters. It actually doesn't take that long because you don't have to do like perfect drawings. You just do scribbles and be like, okay, Link's head should come up to his waist. So if I picked up this Link, where would he come up to? Would he come up a bit further than his waist? So I know that would be the wrong size, and I could have edited that, but I didn't because I didn't have a height chart. So, about time you woke up. I found you out in the desert. Yikes, that's bad. I was wondering, Bow Bow, you don't have to thank me. I just wanted to ask, wait, are you even listening? So, that's another thing. Read your dialogue out loud. I found you out in the desert. I guess that's not that bad. It's just, it feels awkward to me. I don't know, you might think differently, but read your dialogue out loud. It is important to avoid just weird phrasing, weird dialogue. It can happen very easily. Things that read fine in your head while you're reading on the computer can sound very different and very weird when you read them out loud. Not much to comment on this page. I think it's really cute. I love his face. Yeah. Sheesh, you really are just a kid. Well, anyway. When I found you, you had written fish in the sand before you passed out. Why? You really can't remember. Well, great. This will drive me mad. I have nothing to distract me out here. No comments on this page. I think it's fine. His hair is wild. I mean, it works because he's like been in the desert, probably without a comb for a long time. So, yeah, that's great. Do you know how to get out of this desert? Really, a Hylian kid like you? You can read maps at your age, huh? I love the how do I get a better look at it? This map is well written for a Hylian map. Yeah, it took him. I saved your life. Got a problem with that? Not like you had much. So, there is one thing. This is a good page, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, the art is old, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's fine. But I did not have to have the moths and empty. That's redundant. The moths show that it's empty. It's obviously empty. It's obviously very empty. I do not have to write empty, empty. That is a very common thing whenever you're starting out in comics. And even, like, I still do it now. It's like, oh, is it clear? Will the reader know if I don't write the word empty? Yeah, so the reader can pick up on cues like mobs, empty looking bags. You don't have to write the word empty. I would say experiment with things. Like, I don't need to write shake here with him shaking his head. I don't really need to write nod here with him nodding his head, in my opinion. That might vary on the reader a little bit, but to be honest, a lot of times you do not have to put the word for the action. It's often redundant. If you are doing a good job of conveying visual storytelling. If you're doing a poor job with visual storytelling, then you might, need to write the words because the reader can't tell what's going on. But then that's actually a sign that you need to work on your visual storytelling. So like if I'm not drawing the nod well, if I'm just like, because like I didn't even move his hair. His hair is not moving to indicate that he's nodding. So yeah, I guess that could be, I have the motion lines, Anyways, visual storytelling, words, something to think about, something to experiment with. Now these are the details that some people might pick up on. People aren't going to notice that the background is missing because this is not a background. This is not a high art comic with beautiful backgrounds. But if this conveying his motion here, his response here was wrong, it was off, was hard to follow, because this is a dialogue heavy comic, that would stand out to the reader. Okay. So focus on what the reader's going to actually notice based on what type of comic you're writing and go from there. Heading back out. Do you really know the way out of this desert? Oh, nods. See, I'm doing it again. Anyways, because where we are now isn't on your map. Whoa, wait, what's with the I'm prepared to die look? Stop, I'll guide you out. I love his face. I actually really like the expressions early on in this comic because I didn't know if Link was going to talk or not. So I was like really, really heavy on the expressions here. I really need to experiment with them more, to be honest, these days. But anyways, aren't really any problems here except for, nods. Actually, I can't even tell that he's supposed to be nodding here. Again, and I didn't even have to write snatch. What I could have done is do like one of those little symbols, like a action symbol here to show that he's, the snatching, to imply that it was here and he grabbed it and he took it. So I could have just not had the word snatch there, and that would have made this a bit cleaner because honestly, it's like the word snatch here is just kind of like cluttering things. Yeah. Oh yeah. And by the way, my dialogue bubbles are awful. The way that they are placed is bad. I wasn't planning out that stuff. That is definitely one of the biggest flaws in the first few chapters of this comic is just the dialogue bubbles, because I really just didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't planning. It was bad. So definitely think about where the dialogue is going, where the reader's eye is going to naturally go, and how to make sure the dialogue bubbles aren't interfering with like the action, because this is way too close to them. It's just weird. This is a little bit better. But it could have been better for sure. Like these are better, the way that these are placed, because you said this is the first thing it said, this is the second thing that said, the third thing that said, and it's all like kept in this triangle of what the reader's eye is going to be drawn to, and then this will go So I'm not saying this is a great composition. I'm saying that this works a little bit better than this. Yeah. Your name? Link. Sounds familiar. And yours? My name is Ganondorf. You think my name is funny? It inspires terror in the hearts of thousands. Calm down, Ganondorf. So, I don't really have anything to comment on this page except that, so him saying the name sounds familiar actually doesn't make any sense, because this Ganondorf, I guess it could work from like a lore perspective. I didn't know like what the timeline deal was at that point, so I don't know. But I feel like some fan at some point is going to point out that he shouldn't have said that, and that's fair. Him saying his name inspires terror in the hearts of thousands. He's being dramatic. He hasn't really done many evil things. I mean, he has definitely asserted himself as a Gerudo leader. He's definitely like, done things that would make some people fear him, but like it's not terror in the hearts of thousands. I didn't exactly know what I was doing. Again, this isn't a thing that most readers care about, because most readers are familiar with Zelda, and so they're like, oh yeah, it's Ganondorf, like he's Ganon, he's evil, his name inspires terror, and then Link's like, he's like, oh, you're a dork. So it works for the page, but for the comic as a whole, it's a little, I should have planned things a bit better, which is something, and that's another thing. Don't worry about getting everything perfect, because even if you do all the planning in the world, there's still going to be some things like this that slip through that just don't really make any sense. Again, you can go back and edit. It would be really hard for me to edit these because of how I process at the time. I don't really plan on doing it. I don't know. We'll see. But remember that just one weird thing on one page in a chapter that people enjoy in general is not going to throw people off, even if it's kind of doesn't really make any sense in the story as a whole. But yeah, it's not great, but it's not going to kill. It's not going to kill the comic. I guess. Here you are to feel. Oh gosh, the handwriting there is awful. It looks like too peeled. My handwriting is bad, you guys. Excuse me. You don't have to thank me. Letting a kid go out to die would have left a bad taste in my mouth. Are you going home to your family for the night? No, I'm out. I'm alone out here. Ooh, I've never met a real hermit before. I'm not a hermit. I'm here because I was banished for 5 years. I have 3 more to go. Oh, banished to the desert. No, just banished. So why are you out here? I'm out here because it is tradition. I don't actually have to be out here, but if I left, I would get so much trouble. But who would even know? No one would take a Hylian sword that I left. And really, no one ever said. Okay, so nothing really to say about these pages. That looks weird, but like, okay, no, this is bad. This is like the darkest thing on the page, and it's like this meaningless cloud. I could have just left that out entirely. It's bad. Yeah, so the reader, your eye is going to be drawn to like big dark things on a page that's mostly white. So don't do this. Okay. That's the main thing. Just don't do that. Let's see. I actually don't have anything else. Okay, no, this was bad. I think I still don't entirely know how I would have executed this, but what I did here was not good. So I had the mutter to try to convey that he's like basically lost in his own thoughts, but then I tried to make it like the light, like it's so dramatic. Like, look at these lines, and like the wind is blowing his cape and his hair, and like this is weird. This is a weird panel. Yeah. This is why thumbnailing is important. I almost never thumbnail this comic. But I should have, especially when I was starting, because then I could have avoided whatever the heck this is. Yeah. Kid, I'm leaving this desert, but I don't know the area on this side very well. Take me to the nearest town. Okay. Oh, I guess I could give you your money back. Come on, you didn't even count it? What a trusting kid. What's wrong with him? Yeah, I love this page. Ganondorf's expression was weird. I mean, it's still weird, but it was even weirder in the original version. This was one thing that I went back and edited. It still doesn't look great, but, yeah. Is what it is. I was still figuring out the style. Oh, there was a line of dialogue that was really wonky that I wanted to mention. Where was it? Oh well. Read out loud. That'll help avoid wonky dialogue. Don't be surprised if this is how people fear me, kid. I've been a scourge on towns around the desert for years. My people are an ill omen for, oh, you're that Gerudo hermit that led me out of the desert. What? I'm not he helped me when my son and I were lost in the desert. Why, I would have died of thirst out there if he didn't save me. You chatter. I knew you were a good person. Shut up. This page is cute. But one thing that I remember thinking of whenever I was doing this was I was like, oh, well, yeah, he helped women and children who are out in the desert, but, he also, if there were guys out there, he just kind of let them die. So it might have been guys that they knew, that these people knew. That's not canon, but it is a possibility. It does make this page just a little funny. Yeah, so that's a little bit of trivia for you, but it does not have to be canon if that's not your thing. It's not. It's just it's a possibility. We'll leave it at that. Oh, this was my first time drawing a crowd. It's not great, but I remember feeling like it was a lot better than I thought it would be. So, that's the great thing about comics. You get to draw a lot of stuff that you never have drawn before, such as crowds. I still can't believe they're letting us stay in the inn for free. This is a sorry town, not even a single horse to plunder. I can't travel alone without a horse. Kid, I'm going with you as far as the next town. Okay, you don't mind? Traveling with a hermit has its advantages. I haven't slept inside for weeks. For the last time, I am not a hermit. Okay, so, I didn't put down, so remember how I was talking about like style and stuff like that, figuring out the comic style and things like that. That also involves voice, character voice. So Link and Ganondorf talk quite differently. Link has always had like a simplified vocabulary. He still does because he's just 12 and he's not exact. I mean, he's from Orden. He's a farm boy, and so Ganondorf actually, I figured out over time that he needs to have a more refined voice. So there are certain words that I avoid using with him. I didn't know that when I was starting out, so hence, sorry, town. He would not say that now. It doesn't, again, it's not going to kill the comic. It's fine. It's, little mistakes like this are fine. They happen. But it could have been avoided if I had decided to work on character voice for a little bit. So, a little bit more preparation is not a bad thing. If you're preparing so much that you never start your comic, that is a problem. Because again, this is something that I could go back and edit if I really wanted to. It's just a little line of dialogue. So there. Look, hermits are unmarried, right? Yes. Well, I'm married. What's with that expression, you brat? If this is going to be a crack about my age, I swear No, I just didn't think you were the kidnapping type. You think I had to carry off a girl to get a wife? Marriage was her idea, kid. Hers. So one thing here that I broke was the 180 rule. You're not supposed to flip things around so the characters change positions. Like, looks over here, something's over here, something's over here. Yeah, I think like in gag comics, maybe you can get away with this a bit more, but like you're really not supposed to. It's one of those like rules of comics that just is not good to break, especially unintentionally. I was doing it completely unintentionally. So yeah, one thing is that the reason why this is not a great rule to break is just because it can be confusing for some readers. I think that for other readers, it might just not matter. And again, if it's very simple, it's just characters talking, it might not be as confusing as easily. But if you're in a comic where like things are moving and happening and people are moving around and running around, and there's like, it's important to know where they are in the space of where, the setting, then yeah, that can be a problem. So just, being aware of the 180 rule, and not flipping the camera around all the way around to, make them on the different sides of the panel. Unless if it's done for a specific reason, like intentionally trying to just, discombobulate the reader or make the characters feel lost and confused. There are good reasons to do it. But yeah, just doing it on accident is, not generally preferable. You seem like quite a traveler. How much of Hyrule have you seen? All of it. Yeah, right. It's true. Sure. Why would a kid travel so much? Because I had to save Hyrule from the sorceress that kidnapped the princess and turned the king to stone. Right, you did that with all those yeah, right, you did all that with those little arms. You go with that. It's true. I even blew up the sorceress's lair. Oh, I'm sure you did. So something funny about this is that as much as I talk about planning, it's also okay to come up with some ideas on the fly, because sometimes those ideas can be really good. I remember writing this page and being like, I don't know what this Link has done. I know he saved Hyrule, but like, what did he do? And then I was like, okay, so I wanted to be a sorceress because reasons, I don't know. And then, what would she have done? Well, she would have kidnapped Zelda, because, that's just the way it goes. And then what else would she have done? I like the Chronicles of Narnia. I liked how the White Witch turned everybody to stone. That was cool. Let's just say that she turned the king and everyone in the castle to stone. Cool beans. Yeah, so I still like it. I think it's cool. I like the sorceress. I've been able to do a lot with her. And, Link having to save Zelda, meeting Zelda that way, and her, her turning everybody to stone, and the castle being affected by that, it's cool. I like it. It was spur of the moment. It was not planned, but it works. Sometimes stuff that is spontaneous just totally works. It's cool. Quite an imagination you have. Reminds me of my own son. Okay, we'll return to this. Well, no surprise remark about me being a father. Well, good. It would have been annoying, and I hate annoying people. Well, I mean, after you said you were married, I began wondering if you had 6 or 7 yet, and how you provided for them alone in a cave. 6 or 7? How old do you think I am? Okay, 2 things on this page. The stare, I have mixed feelings about this, because it's kind of like a joke that he's, like, staring at him. He does this a lot in the first few chapters, and I don't know if it is like necessarily good or bad. I think it's cute. I don't know how readers feel about it. And remember how I said about not writing things? Like if you write something like stare, that's like not normally something that is written out, an action that is not normally written out, like that can work for like comedy or emphasis. But, I mean, I guess, again, this is something to experiment with. And remember that just because you think something's cute doesn't mean the reader will think it's cute. It's something I just realized. His hair is so messy. His hair is so much messier in these early pages than it is later on. Yeah, your character designs are going to change and evolve during the comic. I mean, not always, but it can happen, and that's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Oh, this is bad. The dialogue bubble placement is horrible. this is very bad. Don't do this. I remember even at the time when I was working on this, I was like, this is really bad, but I was already inking it and I didn't have time to change it because I was like doing 1 page a day, and yeah. So there we go. Finally, where were you so early? I woke up and you were gone. What? You already have 5 red rubies in there. How? Thanks again for hitting my grass. Seriously, you got paid that much? Huh? Oh no, I found the money in the grass. Yeah, right. Maybe you could find a couple rupees in the grass, but finding so many is, hiya, oh, well, you got lucky. Taya, just lucky. Just twice doesn't prove. Okay, that is not normal. This is one of my favorite pages, to be honest. I mean, yeah, the art is rough. It's old. But it's cute. It conveys the gag, you know, conveys the idea, conveys the action. Link looks cute. He looks kind of chunky in these early pages. I think it's adorable. Yeah. Look how proud he is. He's so cute. Okay. Alright. Let's keep moving. I have nothing to say. I like these pages. I think they're pretty cute. Okay, the town looks weird here, but I didn't know what I was doing. This is experimenting and learning. You will experiment and learn while you do comics. It's fine. He's so super cute here. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm done. Oh, this is the best. There's something coming. What is that? Oi! I can't do him. A monster! I wish I could do the postman's voice. I wish I could. Yeah, I love the postman. I have to be honest, I probably do a little too much with him sometimes because he's freaking hilarious. I don't actually exaggerate him now as much as I used to in this early page, but if I returned, it was more stylized back then, so I could do it. But now I draw things a bit more realistic, so it would look a bit wonky. So yeah, I love this page so much though. I love the postman. So, okay, this is based on a real story. So whenever I was playing Twilight Princess for the first time and I was accosted by the postman, I was so alarmed. I was vigorously pushing on the B button trying to attack him because it was, I don't know, something about it was just very alarming because he runs towards you like, ha ha ha, like I can't even, I was alarmed. I would have attacked him if I could have, so Ganondorf knows how I feel. It's okay. I feel understood. This comic makes me feel seen. Alright. A letter for you, young sir. It's a 10 rupee post fee. What? You had like 100 rupees in there. What happened earlier that day? My child is sick. I have no money for a doctor. Our house totally burnt down. I swear it totally did. What are you, the foolish traveler? So this is a Fruits Basket reference. I think that I used to have a title for the page that was also a Fruits Basket reference. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah. I love his face. Yeah, I have nothing to say for this page. I think it's good. It's cute. But if you didn't know Fruits Basket, this would be incredibly confusing. So I am sorry for readers who don't understand this punchline. I promise it's funny, at least amusing. I hope. I think it's cute. Whatever. Young sir, I must have payment. Well, I'm not giving you any. Oh, this is the worst nods I've ever drawn. He looks like he's just looking down at his feet. Ugh. Don't do this. Okay, yeah, sorry. Let me restart. Young sir, I must have payment. Well, I'm not giving you anything. Ding! This money just randomly lying all over Hyrule like this. Their economy must be so unstable. Yes, it must. But I think Link is the only one who finds it. I think that's something I explored in the comic too, so whatever. Oh my gosh. This is so cute. I love this page. Alright, is that a love letter at your age? It's from my fiancé. What? How old are you? 12. And you're getting married? Oh, that's crazy. Hellions are such barbarians. Well, at least I didn't have to kidnap anyone. For the last time I did not carry off my wife. Do I really look like such a horrible person to you? Yes, you do. You do. Anyways, yeah, I don't remember what the reactions were to this, but this was fun. I don't know. Everything about this page is so weird, including this face. Oh my gosh, look at this awful face. This is one of those pages that's like an in-between thing. It's like an in-between from this to like him coming up with his next plans. So I think that some comics will kind of skip in between pages, but they are a chance to share new information, like him saying, oh, the letters from my fiance, we're getting married, blah, 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 and then them arguing. So yeah, it all has to do with genre. If this wasn't a gag comic, this could have been, how this information was shared could have been done differently. I don't know. Just something stands out on rereading. I just need to get to the next town and get a horse, and then you got something to say, kid? All the horses around here got stolen a couple months ago by Gerudo bandits. Son of a... Is there a place I could definitely get a horse? Lon Lon Rancher. That's way, way east of here. Well, that's wonderful. Great. Fantastic. I really don't see how. Yeah, bad black cloud thing going on here, but nothing really else to say about this page. If you need a horse so bad, you can borrow mine. You have a horse? Yeah, I just have to call her off by panpipes. I'm not going to sing this. Yeah, it's a Epona song. Yeah, another example of style confusion. I think that I was trying to go for the Wind Waker style, and it doesn't... The way that I shaded it makes it really weird. So, yeah. Sometimes there'll be early pages that just look weird. And I think that every comic has them. So, like, you're not alone. So it's okay. We're suffering. We're all suffering together. Kid, I don't think your horse is coming. She'll come. She probably just has some ground to cover. She a good horse? Yes, very good. Well trained, has a smooth gait. Yes, very. And she's really smart. Click, clap, click, clap, click, clap. Ha, here she comes. Finally. I grab the horse and ditch the kid, and then your horse is a filly? Yes, isn't she great? Son of... Oh, she's so cute. So, yeah, style issue again. The way that the moon and the stars are drawn. Very, very weird compared to the current style of the comic. I would think I was thinking of going with like a storybook style early on. That only lasted like a chapter and a half or something like that. So, yeah. Again, it really doesn't take that long to make a style guide for your comic. So this is a type of preparation that wouldn't actually impede the creation of your comic, I think. I think it would probably take maybe like a couple days to make a style guide. Just, yeah, just think about like what you're going to be drawing, what will come up in your comic, and then be like, do I want storybook style? Do I want Wind Waker clouds? Or do I want to go with more realistic backgrounds? Just experiment a little, see what you like, see what's easiest to draw, see what works with the idea, the tone in your comic, I guess, and then just go with it. Keep it consistent. These clouds here look nothing like these. This is just like 2 pages different. Alright, chilly this morning. What in the world am I doing out here? If you hear a buzzing, that is my phone. Shouldn't hear it anymore. Leaving the desert seemed like a good idea, but even if I got a horse, then what? A lone Gerudo would raise suspicion, so traveling alone might be easily unsafe. I know nothing of most of Hyrule, no maps, no experience. I want to investigate this country. How powerful is it? Why haven't we heard from the royal family for generations? But how to go about this? I need some kind of guide. Oh gosh. Sorry, that's just... See, this is like very obvious visual storytelling. I need a guide. Da 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 da. Yeah, the reader knows exactly where this is going to go, and it works. I think it's fine. It's almost funny how obvious it is, at least to me. Yeah, but I'm the creator, so I guess this might be a different perspective. Unless pressed, I won't travel alone. But who would guide me? Who would be gullible and trusting enough to... Kid, listen up. I will be traveling with you until further notice. Right, to the next town. No longer than that. To the river? For a longer time than that. To the lake? Until I say so. So this is crowded. This is, yeah, these dialogue bubbles are crowded, but I think it kind of works. Like, if it was like this for, like, every single page, that would be exhausting. But after, like, yeah, because there's a lot of dialogue here. But, like, there's no dialogue here. I mean, these are big panels, so like the dialogue doesn't feel quite as crowded, and then there's no dialogue here, there's just a few words here, and then it's like a fast-paced back and forth here, so I think it kind of balances out. Yeah, varying up the amount of dialogue and stuff with panels can help kind of like, well, it helps avoid fatigue, because if readers see loads and loads of dialogue, to be honest, some readers just won't read, they'll just exit the comic, and that's not because they hate reading, it's just because... How to explain it? I feel like a lot of people are used to comics that have a better balance between less and more dialogue in different panels. I think it also depends on the type of comics you're used to reading. I think Western comics tend to be more dialogue heavy than some manga. It just depends. it's, how dialogue works and how that registers to different readers and how dialogue placement and amount of dialogue works is definitely interesting. Honestly, the best way to kind of get a sense of that is to pay attention to the comics that you read and where is the dialogue? How is it being used? How much is there? And also get a feel of how it works whenever there's not that much dialogue. For example, modern pages, the most recent pages of Lore Olympus are incredibly light on dialogue. There are regularly panels with no dialogue where the characters are just kind of staring at each other or staring at the camera or something like that. And, so that would be something to read. How does that feel to you? Is it annoying? Or does it help set the pacing of the scene? And then you could also compare that to a comic that regularly has more dialogue, is really dialogue heavy. None come to mind off the top of my head, but one comic that regularly has basically almost the exact same amount of dialogue for each panel is, I think, True Beauty. And they put the dialogue bubbles underneath the panels, which is an interesting choice. It's not my favorite choice, but I would say if you want to very, very easily get a sense of how different dialogue placement, dialogue amount works, just compare a couple chapters of Lore Olympus to a couple chapters of True Beauty. They're both super easy to read, and pay attention to the dialogue where it is. And then you could also compare a recent chapter of Lore Olympus to an early chapter of Lore Olympus where there was much more dialogue. How does it feel? How does it compare? Which one do you like better? Why do you like it better? Which one do you think works better? And so on. It's very, very interesting stuff. And of course, you don't have to read those comics in particular. I'm just mentioning them because they are very well-known examples and they're really easy to find and access. So yeah. All right. So kid, where are we headed? Anywhere there's money. Really? Well, isn't there money all around you? Huh? In the grass and stuff. Sorry, my intonation's really weird. No, this grass is all wrong. Just look at it. Even if I cut for hours, I just get 2 rupees at the most. For an adult, you sure don't know much sometimes. Who would know that sort of thing? So this is based on old Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask. I mean, it's not old to me, but I guess if you were used to Breath of the Wild, mostly Breath of the Wild, that would be, all you had to compare to it. But anyways, you would get a sixth sense of where where you would be able to find grass. I mean, rupees in the grass and where not, just based on how it looked and where it was in the game. It's hard to explain, but yeah. So that is one thing whenever if you are making a fan comic, or if you're making a comic that refers to other things and different jokes or world building is based off of those other things, it can help to think about what will the readers know? What will be confusing to them? What will be easy for them to understand? What will be funny to them? Things like that. Because if I was writing this now and my readers were mostly just people who had only played Breath of the Wild, this page wouldn't really make any sense. It really wouldn't make any sense to include it. And honestly, I probably wouldn't even have him finding money in the grass if I was writing for just Breath of the Wild players, because it's really hard to find money in grass in Breath of the Wild. There are different game mechanics there in regards to finding rupees. And yeah, so it's a thing. Thing to think about. Think about your audience, and think about how to write for your audience. Obviously, comics are first and foremost for yourself, because not everyone's going to like your comic. If you don't like your comic, who will, But at the same time, if you want to hit certain goals with your audience, if you want to connect with them as much as possible, and you want to be writing for a general audience, so let's say a general audience in this case would be people who have played Zelda, but they have mostly or just only played Breath of the Wild, then I would be writing things a little bit differently if that was my intention. But if my audience was still people who were people who had played older Zelda games, then yeah, I could keep this. It's fine. And I'm not saying that this is a bad page or mistake or anything. I'm saying in the current context of several years, 8 years later, it's a little bit, it reads a bit differently. So yeah. Anyways. So you need money. At 12 years old, well, will you be traveling for... What? Okay, this is bad dialogue. Well, will you be traveling long for it? So what he should have said here was, so you need money. At 12 years old, how long will you... No, actually, so you need money at 12 years old. That's a weird way to put it. This is weird. I would need to rewrite this. Well, anyways, it's functional. but it's weird. This is not good dialogue. It's wonky. But anyways, so he's asking him, how long will you be traveling to find money? How much do you need? 5,000. 5,000? Right. What did you do? Break a club's expensive vase at a rich kid's school? Oh, I've broken loads of those. So this is a Oron Host Club reference. There used to be a little line up here reading Kiss Kiss Fall in Love, like a title for the page. I feel like that, I wish I could have kept that, but it would have been very inconsistent because I got rid of the other page titles. But yeah, again, if you are a reader of this comic and you never read Oron Host Club, I'm sorry for including a joke that was not based on Zelda and could easily be missed, because that's not a great choice. I still like the joke. A lot of people still like the joke, but, not my best choice. So you need 5,000 for what? Marriage. Oh, that's responsible. Being sure you can support her. Well, Ilya and I aren't officially engaged, but as far as we're concerned, we are, but not officially. No, not until I return with the money and her father recognizes the engagement. Well, if you keep throwing your money away, giving it to anyone who asks pathetically enough, you won't get married until you're 50. Those people needed that money. Sure, whatever. So, this page is a little weird. Like, just all this dialogue kind of mashed together. I think it's fine because there wasn't another, this is a unique page. There's no other page like this in this chapter. I think there might not be any other pages like this in the entire comic. And I think it kind of works as a final page because it's different. So it kind of is giving the reader a clue that, like, oh, something different is happening. AKA the chapter is ending. Not AKA. That's, you know what I mean. Basically, it is a nice signal that, like, okay, something's different. The chapter is ending and all that. But, this is not something I would do these days. It's better to avoid this. But, I mean, at the same time, it could work in some contexts. I just think that there are other things I could have done here. But that's just the way for early pages. It is what it is. So yeah, and then down here I have my, like, disclaimer, basically saying please pardon my sloppy art and my terrible handwriting because I was dealing with chronic tendinitis. I am still dealing with chronic tendinitis, but it was a lot worse back then. And then showing off my newer art, being like, please stick around. I promise it doesn't look this ugly the entire comic. Yeah, so that is something you can do. If you have, like, a really ugly first chapter, you can be like, hey, I'm sorry. I apologize for my health problems. Please be patient with me. Oh my gosh. Yeah, oh boy. So I like this for, yeah, then I have the character profiles and I use color because it's webtoons. People like color. I'm like, look, everybody, color, stick around, read my comic. Oh my gosh. Yeah, these are, I really like these. These are pretty cute. But you know what? I do like how chunky he looked in this first chapter. It's kind of like how in the first season of Pokemon, how Pikachu was, like, really chunky. He was, like, freaking adorable. I mean, Pikachu's always cute. But, like, in the more recent season, and pretty much all seasons except for the first one, it was like, it got more trim. Whereas in the first one, Pikachu was, like, really cute and chubby. So Link's kind of the same way. He's like Pikachu. He started off chunky. We still like him, but sometimes we miss the chunky days, you know. Oh well. Anyway, so that is where we will end. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see y'all next time with a new video. Bye bye.